Now that we've seen how to redirect the three standard streams, let me introduce you to the concept of pipelines. Simply put, a pipe is a special redirection operator that enables to feed the standard output of a command into the standard input of another command in order to form a pipeline, and is mostly used in combination with filter commands such as sort, unique, or grep to process data in amazing ways. The pipe operator is represented by the vertical bar character and has the following usage syntax. Let's start with an easy example that will clarify what I just said. By default, the ls command will list the entries of a directory alphabetically. If instead we wanted to display this entry list in reverse order, we could redirect the output of ls into the input of the sort utility through a pipe that will in turn rearrange these entries and write them to the standard output like so. Now that you know how pipes work in practice, let's go over a few of the most common filter commands that you will find, I'm sure, very useful in your everyday life. As most of them have endless options, I encourage you as always to consult their manual page to get a full picture of their capabilities. That being said, let's start with a pretty handy one called unique. Given a sorted stream of data, the unique utility will remove or count duplicate lines. Let's, for the sake of this example, create a file containing a list of names, including of course duplicates. On its own, unique will return a list of names without duplicates. With the C flag for count, it will return the number of occurrences of each name, and with the D flag for duplicates, it will return only the duplicated entries. The head and tail utilities are pretty similar as they respectively return the first and last few lines of a stream of data, which is quite useful for reading the header of a file or the last line of a log file, for instance. They both have two similar option flags, which are C to return a certain number of bytes and N to return a certain number of lines. Finally, the grep utility, which is I think one of the most complete commands, examines each line of data it receives and filters them based on a specified pattern of characters. To demonstrate how it works, let's first create a few blank files with different extensions that are quite typical of a Node.js project. Now that we have these files, let's go over a few examples using grep. This command will list the files that start with an app. This command will list the JavaScript files only. This one will list the files that are not JavaScript files. This one will count the number of JavaScript files. This one will list the files containing the word app regardless of the case sensitivity. This one will only list the JS or JSON files. And finally, this one will check the presence or the occurrence of a variable or a function in the code. As you can see here, grep is used for pretty much anything, so I really encourage you to take the time to read its manual page. And that wraps it up for this part on input and output redirections. But before I let you move on to the next lecture, I'd like to share one last trick with you. It will happen sometimes that you want to silence the output of a specific file descriptor because it creates too much noise in the terminal or in the logs. And by noise, I mean errors. And that can easily be achieved by simply discarding the data of the desired file descriptor into a special file called null that acts kind of like a black hole in space using the output redirection operator like so.